Hello, this is Lisa Tinsley with KISA Public Radio, and I want to just briefly explain to you regarding Breonna Taylor's $12 million lawsuit, wrongful death lawsuit that was announced today. But I wanted to just dig deeper into what the Louisville Police Department will now have as far as changes from meeting with city officials and Breonna Taylor's lawyers to hopefully bring change to the Louisville Police Department. So there are 10 things that happened from the result of those discussions, and I'll briefly explain them all to you. The first one is community housing. Police officers will now have the opportunity to have ownership within communities that they are policing. So this will be modeled after what cities like Atlanta, DC, and San Diego are currently doing. And it brings in a positive relationship between the police officer and the community and where they're policing. So that should hopefully bring a positive change within the city of Louisville. The second one is with social workers. Whenever police are dispatched, they will now have the option of bringing a social worker along with them to hopefully resolve the issue. Because sometimes we might hear about someone with a mental illness that might need assistance, where a social worker will be more beneficial than having a police officer there. But both will be there, but the social worker might be able to help resolve what's going on. The third one is within the Louisville Police Department. Officers will now have a chance to volunteer 2 hours per pay cycle with a nonprofit organization. So that goes back to the housing, where hopefully it can build positive community relationships within the city, and it'll give a chance for police officers to do some volunteer work and get paid, during that time, but also just, be positive with the relationships in various organizations to just hopefully bring in, a good positive vibe among everybody in the neighborhood. The next one is with search warrants, and it gets a little bit more involved with law enforcement. So I'm going to read my notes just to make sure I don't miss anything. But with the search warrant reform, previous procedures were amended on search warrants to require a commanding officer to review and approve all search warrants and affidavits in support of the search warrant. So just an extra layer in as far as the approval process for search warrants. The next one is currency seizures. Police officers will now be required to have their body cameras on during the entire currency seizure process. So that means that the camera has to be activated on when counting, placing, and sealing the currency into the currency evidence bag before being transported to the property room. So the camera will have to stay on throughout the entire process of any type of currency seizure. The next one is random drug testing. Police officers will now receive a random drug test anytime throughout the year. And hopefully this will eliminate any concerns of maybe police officers being on drugs while on their shift, or just using drugs outside of but also just being tested for this. The next one is to implement an early warning system that tracks all use of force incidents, citizen complaints, and investigations. So it's using a law enforcement tool called IA Pro. And so hopefully this will just be a good early warning system regarding any type of force incidents or any type of citizen complaints within the city. The next one is personnel files. The police department will negotiate with the union to expand on the records it maintains in police officers' personnel files. The ninth update is updates to police officers in investigations. And when an officer is investigated, the process, before the process begins, the personnel file will include a letter from the chief based on the investigation and the findings of the police department. And lastly, this happened back in June 2020, that Breonna's law was passed from the Louisville City Council that eliminates all no knock search warrants. So that has been some of the changes that are happening in Louisville. And but now we just wait to see if there will be any charges for the officers who were involved with the death of Breonna Taylor. So hopefully we'll have more information for that soon. But I just want to explain to you what changes will happen in Louisville, just based on this $12 million lawsuit and the lawyers and Louisville city officials working together to make change. So this is Lisa Tinsley with KISA Public Radio, and I want to thank you for watching. Feel free to comment if you have any thoughts about how this might work, or just anything you want to share with our audience. Please feel free to share in the comment section. So we thank you for your support. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you again soon.